Hello my scholars, welcome to my school channel. My name is Alexandra, and in today's video we're going to be tackling the JAMB past question for literature in English year 2022. So please stay with us, don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to my school channel. So in this video we're going to be tackling question 1 to 20. So let's begin with question 1. One of the following writers is better known as a playwright than as a novelist. Okay, so option A we have C, Achebe, option B, C, Ekwensi, option C, W, Shoyinka, and option D, JP Clark. The answer to this question is option C, Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka is popularly known as a playwright or a dramatist, so he's a renowned playwright, as opposed to option A and B, they are known as novelists. Option D definitely is a poet, JP Clark. So the answer to this question is option C, Wole Soyinka. Question 2, a narrative poem must dash. Okay, so this is an easy one. Option A, preach a sermon. Option B, tell a story. Option C, describe natural scenery. Option D, argue a question. The answer to this question is definitely option B, tell a story. Just as narrative writing tells stories, narrative poem also tells a story. So the answer to this question is option B, tell a story. Question 3. Literature is studied as a subject at school because dash. Option A, it exposes students to the realities of life. Option B, it provides entertainment. Option C, it merely gives additional work to students. Option D, it teaches the use of words. Okay, so the best answer to this question is option A, it exposes students to the realities of life. Now, we'll all agree that literature performs several functions. It entertains us, it improves our vocabulary and all of that. But then the reason why we study it is because it is a reflection of life. It mirrors life, and so we learn from other people's experience. We learn from it, we embrace the good ones and we do away with the bad ones, right? So the answer to this question is option A, it exposes students to the realities of life. Option A is the final answer to this question. Question 4. In the flight to Australia, the following line occurs: tear upon tear it towered, the terrible Apennines. The figure of speech used in this line is known as dash. Option A, alliteration. Option B, litotes. Option C, exaggeration. Option D, parody. The answer to this question is obviously alliteration. What is alliteration? Alliteration is a repetition of initial consonant sounds. What do I mean by initial? I mean the beginning, the first sound, right? So let's take a look at the text. Tear upon tear it towered. T. Okay, so the repetition of the sound, we can see it at the initial position. Okay, so definitely the answer to this question is option A, alliteration. Question 5. If we describe Koso Town Boy as an autobiography, we mean that it is dash. Option A, a historical novel. Option B, a piece of writing telling us about the life of its author. Option C, a short story. Option D, a narrative tale. The answer to this question is option B. It says if we describe Koso Town Boy as an autobiography, so if this novel is an autobiography, what does it mean? So basically they are saying, what does an autobiography mean? An autobiography is the account of a person's life written by that same person. So if I were to write a story about my life, I'm writing an autobiography. And so it is a piece of writing telling us about the life of its author. Okay, so the answer to this question is option B. Question 6. You cannot know and should not bother. Tide and market come and go, and so shall your mother. In this verse, the poet uses dash. Option A, alternate rhymes. Option B, monomime. Option C, couplet. Option D, triplets. The answer to this question is alternate rhymes. Now, what is alternate rhyme? Alternate rhyme is when the first and the third line of a poem is the same, has the same rhyme, and then the second and the fourth has the same also. Now let's experiment using the poem that was provided, right? So you can know O. So the last sound is O, but then let's take a look at the second line, bother. So this is different from the first, right? So we'll give this B. Okay, so we move to the third. The last is go. Oh, definitely the same with no, right? So we give this A. Then the last one here, which is the fourth line, mother, the same with bother, right? So we give this B. So all together we have A, B, A, B. So this is alternate rhyme, when the first and the third has the same rhyme, and then the second and the third has the same rhyme. So this is alternate rhyme, and so option A is the correct answer to this question. Question 7. Another shoal of cars swam past. One in particular caught his eyes, a long, slender thing, elegant as a swallow, all gleaming blue and silver. 1,000 guineas it would have cost, he thought. In the first sentence, cars are described in terms of dash. Another shoal of cars swam past. Now, what does shoal means? S-H-O-A-L. It means a large number of fish swimming together. So that gives us the idea that yes, option C should be the answer to this question. So we have option A, birds, option B, ants, option C, fish, option D, lamppost. Option C is definitely the answer to this question. Do you know that you can take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past question? If you would like to practice these questions, all you need to do is you click on the link in the description below. It takes you to the Myschool website. There you can download Myschool mobile app for your Android phones and Myschool software for your computers and laptops. Please go ahead and download and start practicing these questions. Now moving on to question 8. Pick out the odd item. A, a rising in the sun. B, 12th night. C, Ozidi. D, the concubine. Now, A Rising in the Sun is a play by Ansbury. 12th Night is a play by Shakespeare. Ozidi is a play by J.P. Clark. And The Concubine is a novel by Elechi Amadi. Definitely the answer to this question is The Concubine, since it's the only novel we have in this list, right? Play, novel. Option D, therefore, is the final answer to this question. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos. Question 9. That year, the harvest was sad, like a funeral, and many farmers wept as they dug up the miserable yams. One man tied his clothes to a tree branch and hanged himself. The mood conveyed here is one of dash. Option A, excitement. Option B, sadness. Option C, joy. Option D, triumph. The answer to this question is sadness. Okay, so when we read this poem, we feel sad. We feel sad that, oh, their harvest is poor that season. They were digging up crops that were not edible. And from the very first sentence, we feel sorry for them. That year, the harvest was sad. Okay, their collection of crops was not good, was either spoiled or was not encouraging. They were expecting a lot more, but their expectations were not realized. Okay, so the answer to this question is option B, sadness. Question 10. One of the following terms applies to the discussion of both tragedy and comedy. Option A, climax. Option B, happy ending. Option C, tragic hero. Option D, alliteration. The answer to this question is climax. Now, what is climax? Climax is known to be the highest point or the highest dramatic point in a story. We also know that climax is under the structure of a plot or the organization of a plot. So what do we mean by organization of a plot? There are 5 of them. The first is the exposition, then we have the rising action, we have the climax, number 3, number 4 we have the falling action, and lastly we have the resolution. That is the structure of a plot. Why climax is in the middle. Now, why is climax in the middle? Climax is when the conflict has been resolved in the story, and that is the climax. and it applies to tragedy or comedy, whatever, irrespective of the nature of the story, whether it has an happy ending or a sad ending. The climax applies to both. For example, for happy endings or comedy, things like these are examples of climax. When the dragon is finally slain, that is the climax for happy ending. When the princess is saved, that is the climax. Or when an innocent man is being released from the prison, that is the climax. Okay, so that highest dramatic point that tells us that this is a happy ending story, that is usually the climax. For tragedy, okay, maybe when the hero dies, that is the climax, that is the highest point. So we see that climax applies to the tragedy or comedy, or even both, because there's an element called tragic comedy which applies or combines tragedy and comedy at the same time. So whether it's tragedy or comedy, climax applies to both of them. Okay, so the answer to this question is option A, climax. Question 11. A character that is always against the interest of the protagonist is dash. Option A, hero. Option B, opposition. Option C, villain. Option D, heroine. The answer to this question is villain. Now, villain is that bad guy, that bad person that attacks other characters or attacks the protagonist. Okay, so option C is the correct answer to this question. Question 12. The idea of meter as used in a literary piece is dash. Option A, stanza. Option B, rhythm. Option C, rhyme. Option D, verse. The answer to this question is rhythm. Now, why is it rhythm? When we talk about meter, meter is a unit of a rhythm. What is a rhythm? A rhythm is created by the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllable in a line of a verse. Now, let's experiment. For example, a common rhythm we know is what we call iambic pentameter. Now, what does iamb means? Iamb means unstressed. We represent it with X, followed by stressed. We represent it with a slash. So iamb means unstressed first and stress. Okay. While pentameter means 5 meter, or we can say 5 feet. Pentameter. Now, iambic pentameter will mean 5 of this, 5 of iamb. Okay, so we have 5. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now this is a meter because this is what? A unit of this rhythm. This is a rhythm. So the rhythm is what? The consistency, the repetition of each of this. Okay, so this is the rhythm, and the meter is a unit of the rhythm. So we have different types of rhythm, but this is a popular example used by William Shakespeare. It's common in William Shakespeare's poem. Okay, so now we understand what a meter is, and we understand the relationship between meter and rhythm, and so we can answer this question confidently. The idea of meter as used in a literary piece is rhythm. Option B, therefore, is the correct answer to this question. Question 13. A hero whose weakness contributes to his downfall is called dash. Option A, the antagonist. Option B, periactors. Option C, tragic hero. Option C, tragic flow. The answer to this question is tragic hero. Now, what is a tragic hero, or who is a tragic hero? A tragic hero is a character in a tragedy, usually the protagonist, whose flaws or weakness contributes or leads to his downfall. An example, or a popular example that I can cite, is with Okonkwo. Okonkwo is the protagonist in the novel Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, and we can see that he's a protagonist with flaws. Okay, he fears failure. According to the text, he fears failure. He is scared of being tagged a failed person, and so that ruled his judgment all through the text. And we see him making a lot of mistakes, and that particular weakness, that particular fear, ultimately led to his death. Okay, so the answer to this question is option C, tragic hero. Question 14. A travelogue is a book about the places visited or experienced by a writer. Okay, so A record of the writer's experience during a journey. B, the account of the experiences of an individual during his lifetime. C, the account of the travels of the character in a novel. Option D, a variant of a novel written in a freestyle on a writer's journey. The answer to this question, or the best answer to this question, is option A record of the writer's experience during a journey. So journey is important as well as the writer's experience throughout that journey. Okay, so option A is the final answer to this question. Question 15. A literary work that ridicules the shortcomings of people or ideas is dash. Option A satire. Option B, a mask. Option C, a fable. Option D, an irony. The answer to this question is a satire. What is a satire? A satire is the use of irony, exaggeration, or humor to criticize people's stupidity or shortcomings, and it is usually in the context of politics, but the main idea in satire or in the use of satire is to criticize people's shortcomings. So the answer to this question is option A satire. Question 16. The exclusive right given to authors to protect their works from unlawful production is dash. Option A constitutional provision. Option B, a copyright. Option C, an authority to write. Option D, an author's right. The answer to this question is a copyright. A copyright is the right that you have as a creator to protect unlawful production of your work. So a copyright is the right that you as a creator have over your work. Either a literary work, on artistic work, or written text, or video production. A copyright is that right that you have over your work to protect it against unlawful production. Okay, so the answer to this question is option B, a copyright. Question 17. Empathy is achieved when the audience dash. Option A, feels betrayed by the director. Option B, vicariously participates in the stage experience. Option C, attacks the character foil. Option D, denounces and humiliates the protagonist. So empathy is felt by the audience, but it is achieved when the audience dash. So when do we achieve empathy? When we watch or when we listen, when do we achieve empathy? Now, empathy is achieved when the audience vicariously participates in the stage experience. Option B is the answer to this question. But then what do we mean by empathy? Empathy is when we have the ability to share in other people's feelings. Even though we do not experience that thing physically, we are able to share the feelings of others. We have the ability to understand people's feelings and share in that experience that they have, even without doing that thing in particular. Now, when we say vicariously, vicarious is an adverb, and it means to be able to experience something by watching, listening, or reading about it, rather than by doing that activity yourself. Okay, so that's what vicariously means. And so option B is definitely the answer to this question. I'm sure you have questions you would like to ask. If yes, please feel free to ask your questions by using the link provided in the description below. Click on this link, it takes you to the Myschool website. There you can ask as many questions as possible and solutions will be provided to all of your questions. So moving on to question 18. Mock heroic poetry elevates dash. Option A, the important tales of heroes of the past era. Option B, trivial subject matter by using the style of the classical epic. Option C, the stripping off of appearances in a witty manner. Option D, the beauty in human relationships as exemplified in Homer. The answer to this question is option B, trivial subject matter by using the style or heroic style of the classical epic. Now, mock heroic poetry is a type of satire that imitates the heroic style of classical epic or of a character to criticize an unheroic subject, okay? So it imitates a heroic character to criticize an unheroic character. And in the word mock, we can tell that it is a mockery, it criticizes, okay? The answer to this question is in option B. We have unimportant subject matter. So it elevates the unimportant subject matter by using the heroic style of the classical epic. So the answer to this question is option B. Do you have better steps, explanation, or solutions to any of those questions? Please feel free to share this with us. Indicate the question and the solutions you would like to share in the comment section below. Question 19. Dash is also called a dynamic character. Option A, protagonist. Option B, round character. Option C, flat character. Option D, foil. The answer to this question is round character. Round characters are characters that evolve, they have complexities, they change, and so we can also regard them as dynamic, okay, or dynamic character. Okay, when we talk about flat characters do not have complexities, they don't evolve, we know all of their characteristics, they are all of their personality, they are just the same, okay? While foils are characters that have opposing traits to another character, okay? Their characters contrast with another character. They may be the antagonist, but not in all cases, but then their character usually contrasts with another character in a text. So the answer to this question is option B, round character. Question 20. The subject matter of a literary work is the dash. Option A, plot. Option B, setting. Option C, theme. Option D, structure. The answer to this question is option C, theme. When we talk about subject matter, we're talking about the main idea. What is the writer trying to pass across to us? What does he want us to know? What does he want to tell us? And that's what a theme is. So the subject matter is also a theme, or can be likened to be a theme. So the answer to this question is option C, theme. We've come to the end of this segment. I believe it was impactful. I'm sure you've learned a lot. Please do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next videos.